This is Samsung's new M8 monitor. It's a 32-inch 4K display that also doubles as a 4K HDR television. It runs Tizen OS just like traditional Samsung TVs. It has all the latest built-in streaming apps and an app store to download whatever you might need. It can be controlled via a remote control, and it has built-in Apple AirPlay, a 1080p webcam that can easily be added or removed via magnets, and it just looks great. And oh yeah, it's a monitor still at the end of the day for getting work done with your Mac or PC. And you can do this wirelessly, or you can even use built-in applications like Microsoft Office 365 without a computer even plugged in. The M8 does more for less than half the price of the Studio Display. So why would anyone buy the Studio Display over the M8? Well, I would say for most normal people out there looking for a nice monitor just to get some work done, but then also act as a great media consumption device for their offices at a much more affordable price point, then the M8 blows the Studio Display out of the water, and even some of the other monitors that are in this specific price region. Now we'll take a deep dive into the major features here in just a minute, but just so I don't keep those of you waiting for my final thoughts on the actual image and display quality of the two, the Studio Display is still a much better display. It's better image quality, it has a Retina 5K display after all, but the image is not only sharper, it's more vibrant, but also more color accurate, which is a useful tool for professionals who are in a studio environment and need more of that accuracy and reference in order to make their videos look accurate, or even projects that require color accuracy that isn't just specific to video editing. If this doesn't sound like something you need, then I think you'd be more than happy with the M8 image quality. And that's not to say that it's not color accurate, but it's not nearly as color accurate as what you would get with Apple Studio Display. I don't usually spend a lot of time talking about the look of a monitor, or I don't enjoy doing that because external monitors look kind of boring for the most part, but the M8 and the Studio Display both have pretty unique looks compared to the rest of the competition. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I kind of feel like Samsung was a little clearly inspired by the look of, I don't know, Apple's iMacs or even the Studio Display. You can definitely tell there's some inspiration here when looking at the base of each monitor and just kind of the look and feel of it. The base of the M8 is made up of premium aluminum materials. It has a similar look than the Studio Display, but it can, out of the box, be height and tilt adjusted, unlike my Studio Display, which can only be tilt adjusted. I can of course get a VESA mount or the height adjustable stand added for an additional cost at checkout or post checkout via the Apple Store, but the M8 comes stock with this option. The only downside with the M8 is that you cannot use a VESA mount. Then around the back, the M8 is made up of this weird wavy plastic. It looks nice, but it's not nearly as durable and as premium as the Studio Display, which sticks with aluminum all the way around. The quality is obviously nicer on the Studio Display, but I do like the look of Samsung's monitor here. There are two speakers, one on each side of the back of the monitor, and I do think they sound pretty good for what they are. They're definitely better than most, if not almost all of the external monitors that I've tested that's not named the Studio Display. Apple's been killing it in the audio department these days, and the Studio Display is no different, especially when it comes to a monitor. I would be happy using Apple Studio Display. I have been using it with no external speakers, and it's been totally fine. I would not use the M8 with no external speakers. Samsung's M8 monitor is 32 inches and the Studio Display is only 27 inches. I really don't have anything positive or negative to add here. It's just a matter of preference and just letting you know that there is a difference in monitor size. The back of the M8 offers a few USB-C ports and a micro HDMI, which comes with a cable inside of the box that goes micro HDMI to regular HDMI in case you want to hook up something else, including your laptop. The Studio Display is strictly for USB-C ports. The back also has a magnetic spot at the top here to attach a webcam that comes inside the box. It's a 1080p webcam, and the fact that you can add it or remove it whenever you want is pretty great. I wish Apple would have built in some sort of privacy shade or give us the ability to turn it off, but you cannot do that. The M8 not only gives you the ability to just remove it, but actually on the back of the camera itself, or the lens, there's a little cover that you can remove and put on the front to cover up the camera. And it's all magnetic and it works really well, and I love everything about the webcam in terms of the design and how it integrates with the monitor. The camera on the M8 also does support its own version of center stage. In terms of mic and video quality, I'll let you decide. Let me know in the comments down below which one you think is better. So this is the 1080p webcam on Apple Studio Display, as well as the microphone setup that's built into Apple Studio Display. The next thing we're going to listen to is Samsung's M8. And so, of course, I'm probably going to ask you a couple of times, but please let me know in the comments down below which one sounds and looks better to you. And now this is Samsung's slim fit camera. So I would love to know what you guys think of not only just the video quality, but of course the audio quality as well. And let me know in the comments down below which one you prefer, Studio Display or this Samsung M8 monitor's webcam. Now the front of each monitor boasts relatively small bezels, and I already touched on display quality, but let's go ahead and go over this real quickly again. I do think as a monitor for work and just image quality in general, the Studio Display is better, but for $699, the 32-inch 4K display is going to be perfectly fine for 99% of you out there who don't work in some high-end studio. If you do work in a high-end studio, I'd love to recommend a different monitor overall, probably the Pro Display XDR or some other reference quality display that you need over the Studio Display and the Samsung monitor, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Anyways, the best feature of the M8 is that this display is basically a HDR Samsung TV. It runs Tizen. It has all the options, apps, and functionality that a smart TV would have. I can watch what I think is Apple's best TV show on Apple TV Plus, which is Severance, via the Apple TV app that's built into the monitor, and I can control it with this remote. It's perfect. What also is kind of funny to me is that this monitor has AirPlay built in, something that you can't do on a Studio Display unless you plug in your Mac and AirPlay it to your Mac. I can easily send AirPlay content from my phone to the M8 without having anything connected to it at all. I can also run Microsoft Office 365 by hooking up a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse directly to the monitor and going into the workspace section of the monitor's menu and using the built-in apps that are featured there for getting work done without necessarily having a machine hooked up to it. There's no computer required. It's pretty feature rich and definitely makes this monitor one of the best options out there because of how versatile it really is. So to sum it up, there's really a lot of value here for $699. It does come in other colors that do look pretty nice. It's very iMac-esque, but those colors, for some reason, if you're not getting the white one like what I have here, is going to run you an extra $29. I don't know why, but that's what Samsung's doing. The Studio Display is $1599 for the tilt model that I have here in this video, as well as the VESA option if you do that at checkout, or $1999 for the height and tilt adjustable version. Clearly, the no-brainer move for literally most people out there, myself included. I don't need the Studio Display per se to get my job done. I've been working off other monitors that are not nearly as studio quality as this monitor. But the cheaper and more functional monitor here is definitely the option to go with. I will say from a side-by-side image standpoint, the Studio Display is clearly better, but when I have them next to each other, I don't think it's $1,000 better. And again, I think the M8 is probably a good option for most of you out there. And there are other options that are at this price point that might be even better than this one. But there's not going to be a lot of monitors out there that can offer you all of the features that Samsung's M8 can offer you. And again, it basically is a monitor for work and a TV after work. And I kind of like that. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. Which one do you prefer? Which one do you think is the monitor right for you? If you're kind of deciding between the two, I would love to know down in those comments. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.